you through the parts of the banjo. And I haven't really done that before, and I thought today is the day. Let's do this, and we'll have it from now on. You know, we'll put it out there and y'all can refer to it, especially if you're new. There's a lot of things that you kind of need to know and you're going to encounter. And so I thought I'd just help you out. Hey, if you like this sort of content, be sure to hit a like button and maybe leave a comment. Do you call some of these parts different parts than I do? I'd love to hear about it. And if you'd like to get notifications when I post this stuff, you need to subscribe and ring the bell. All right, let's get into these parts. All right, let's dive into this project and start naming all these parts. We'll start on this end of the instrument, this bit right here. That's called the headstock. That's what that's called. And on the headstock, you're going to find where the strings attach to these pins, and then you've got these keys back here. Different configurations on those, but they all kind of do the same thing. Those are tuning machines, sometimes called tuning buttons, sometimes just called tuners. But those are our tuning machines, tuning buttons, tuners. And then obviously we've got our strings. On this banjo, it's black, but they come in different colors, and some banjos have them and some don't. But this is the truss rod cover, and underneath that is where you can adjust the truss rod that runs through the neck of this banjo, and it allows you to adjust the bow of the neck just a little bit. And that's the truss rod cover. Some banjos on the neck have this little piece right here, this little bump, and that's called a volute or volute. That's your volute right there. Not all banjos have that, but that's something you might have. And then, well, let's get to this piece right here. This piece that the strings run across there with the little slots in it, that's called the nut. And some banjos will have like a little tiny fret that sits up next to that nut, which we would call a 0 fret. But this one doesn't have that. It's just got a nut. And then the slots in the nut are called nut slots. The very next thing we're going to encounter as we travel down the neck of the banjo, and this piece here is called the neck, is this dot. And these dots can be ornate, kind of like these, and some are just plain dots, and sometimes you might not have a dot here at the first fret, but sometimes you will. You will see dots, and those are position markers. Some people just call them dots, and they will be at, like on this banjo, and on most banjos, you will find them at the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 10, 12, and then they kind of, they just keep on going, and they follow the same pattern. Those are your position dots. The next thing we encounter is that little bar right there. And that little metal bar going across, that's a fret. And this banjo has 22 of them. And most 5-string banjos will have 22 frets, and that's called the fret. Now the frets and those position dots are installed into what's called the fingerboard, because that's where we put our fingers on this board. This fingerboard is made of ebony, some are made of rosewood, some are made of maple, some are made of sapele, and all kind of other woods, persimmon, walnut, but that's the fingerboard, that part right there. Now this banjo has this white stuff or ivory colored along the side, and that's simply, even around the headstock here, and that's called binding. And the dots and like all of this ornate stuff on the headstock, that's called inlay. And as we travel down the neck, we come across another tuner. This is our 5th string tuning machine, tuner button. And the tuners, you can refer to different parts of the tuner, but the little piece that you twist with your finger, that's technically the tuning button. And that gives us the neck of the banjo. So that's something to help you remember. As you get down, one more thing, as you get down to here, this part that comes out, that's called the heel. That's the heel. And now let's look at this part of the banjo. So we will keep coming this direction. This top metal ring that goes around the top of the banjo, that's the tension hoop. Some people call it a stretcher band. It's the tension hoop. And then you have hooks or brackets that tension the tension hoop. And that's what each of these are. And this banjo has 24 of these brackets that go around. And those are the brackets. So you got a tension hoop and brackets. Now, not all banjos have a tone ring, but this one does. And you can see this metal piece right there on each, you can see it. That's a big, heavy ring inside. And we'll take it apart here in a minute and show you inside. But that's a tone ring. And then this metal part right here that goes around the outside, this is called a flange. Now, not all banjos have it, but if you see that, that's called a flange. These little screws right here, they're just thumb screws, and they are what holds on this part. It's called a resonator. It's just like a big bowl. There's an armrest, so you can rest your arm. The banjo bridge, this is the bridge right there. And this, where the strings attach, that's called the tailpiece. And I think that covers everything that we can see. So give me a second. We'll take off the resonator and I'll show you what's inside the banjo. All right, let's look at the resonator. This is just that, it's just the big bowl that I told you about. And then it's got parts in here where those thumb screws attached. They're just lugs. And then let's look inside the banjo. So looking inside here, this wooden part that goes around, and yours might be wood, it might be aluminum, but the part that goes around, the big main part, is called the rim. And then you can kind of see in here, you can see that tone ring sitting on top of the rim. Let's see, yeah, just like that. And then these two rods, there's two rods in here. Those are called coordinator rods. And that's basically how the neck is held on, and held at a straight angle tightly, so everything fits nicely. And I believe that's everything that's on the inside of this banjo. But I've got a couple more banjos I want to show you, so just in case yours is a little different. Oh, before I do that, I did want to show you. So on each bracket, we have a nut, and that's how we tighten the head of the banjo. And the head of the banjo can be made from, this is mylar. This is a frosted head. It has a coating on it. Some are clear. Some are made of goat skin. Some are made of calf skin. All kinds of different materials, all kinds of different colors and different things. The frosted head is kind of the most traditional. Now let's look at some other stuff. There you go. He means well, but he's forgetful. There's another part he'd like for me to show you. Hang on. That little part right there, that's the fifth string nut, sometimes referred to as a pip. He would also like me to tell you that some banjos have side dots, and those dots are on the side of the banjo neck. All right, something else to show you. We talked about the coordinator rods inside the banjo. This banjo has a dowel. It's a wooden dowel that attaches the neck to the rim. This banjo also does not have a resonator. So it has another part that might be of interest to you. These little pieces that the brackets go through, those are called shoes. So they're bracket shoes. So that's another part for you to be aware of. Everything else is pretty much the same. It has a slightly different tailpiece on it. It's not the same, but it's still, that's where the strings attach. And headstock, tuning keys, frets, inlays, banjo head, bridge, strings. So that, just a different configuration. And that might be something that you would see. I got something else. Another thing you might see on a banjo is some extra tuning keys or extra buttons or some sort of gizmo on the headstock. And those are detuners. And they let you retune on the fly for effects and different tunes. Earl Scruggs used them. Just about any bluegrass player has probably tinkered with these types of tuners. So you might see something that looks like that, or you might see something that looks like this. Still extra tuning keys, still does the same thing. Or this, and this is a different way of doing it. That's just another type of detuner. Well, folks, I think that covers all the parts, with the exception of the occasional capo that you might see on a banjo. And if we look up close, you might see some little spikes here, and those are 5th string spikes. So sometimes you'll see that, or sometimes a sliding capo on the side of the neck. I hope that helps you and gives you a frame of reference. And hey, if it sparks some discussion, I'm here for it. So hope to talk to you down in the comments. See y'all soon.